Hey everybody, it's Marty the JavaScript Party. My buddy Rhett. We are coding away. It is 8:09. I definitely feel better today than I did yesterday. Yesterday I was just couldn't quite think very well. Um, I if I had been a full-time employee where I work, I definitely would have used a sick day yesterday. Unfortunately, I have no sick days, so I had to tough it out. But towards the end of the day, they did need some work done, and I was feeling a lot better. Um, so I was able to just sort of step up, and get some stuff done that needed to get done. So I guess that's a good thing. But it's tough being a contractor. Anyways, here is a nut for my buddy Rhett. It is 8:10 in the morning, and we're doing pretty good today. Uh, There you go, girl. There you go. And it's like, I don't know what the temperature. It's 69 degrees outside. It felt like it was like probably like 69 degrees. I don't think it's well. Apparently, it rained all night long. I slept right through that. But it says we're having a cooling trend over the next couple of days. I know we are less than for this. The first time I've ever really sort of paid attention to the moon, but we're less than 50% moon tonight. See, what are we looking at? 69, 96% humidity, fairly low pressure, I think. I think 29.86 is a little lower than normal around here. Good air quality. And then we're like looking at 80s all week long. Friday, 76. Plan to go running today, so should be pretty nice. So that's that. So yesterday I was sort of like, there was like some kind of concepts that were like kind of weird. Man, that is just the weirdest thing. I cannot close my edge. Edge will not close. Just stays open no matter what. That is so wild. So I guess I'll minimize it again. I think the only way that I can get Edge to shut down now would be I could do like Control Alt Delete, and but who the heck knows what processes. Like there's probably some process that it doesn't want to shut off because it'd probably have some kind of bad response, bad result in the OS. But yesterday the only way I could get that Edge to turn off was to shut the whole computer down and restart it, which, I'm not going to do that in the middle of the video. But so I was thinking about like, oh, okay, so what basically the problem is, and this isn't really a problem, it's just something that I've got hung up on, sort of like the squirrel. I saw something and now I want to deal with it. I'm trying to understand why it won't work. Is I have a list of renderer IDs, and then I want to loop over it, and I want to I'm looping over it. But what I do also have a list of renderers, and I'd rather just loop over the renderers. But I was having problems because the renderer ID is an optional value on the type, and so I think Rhett might have dropped her nut. Did you drop your nut? Watch out. But she might have just dropped the part of the nut, the shell. I don't see it down here though. Oh, yeah. So it's just the shell, and then my Jack Russell got it, and she was like trying to hide that she had it. But anyway, so the renderer ID is optional, and so I was like, well, that's kind of a good thing because there could be some timing issues. But actually, the renderer ID is the key to a dictionary, so that has the renderer in it. So that it could not possibly exist without the renderer. Just logic. It doesn't seem like if I get it from a dictionary, if I get it from the values of a dictionary, and the key is the ID, there's no way that it can, right? That's just logic. But I don't know, maybe sometimes logic is wrong, or sometimes there's other moving parts or whatever. But so let's go and find our renderer ID. And so I am in app component.html. So let's go to app component.typescript, and let's go to our effects, which is where all this stuff. And so we have our renderer. So I have a list of renderers, and I'll go to the definition, and let's go to that definition. Maybe I'll go to the implement. Let's see. That's weird. Let's go to the implementation. No. So let's go to our, I guess we just need to figure it out ourselves. So let's go to our interfaces and go to our, let's see. That is not helpful. Let's see. ST renderers. Let's go back to the definition again. Oh, this time it took us there. Wait, so renderer ID is not optional. Oh, wait. Our ST renderer ID isn't optional. Oh, maybe that's my problem, was trying to use the renderer ID, not the ST renderer ID. That would make sense. Yeah, so that's funny if that was the issue. Okay, so I want to change this to renderers. And I want to track by ST renderer. Oh, this is ST renderer. And then I want to track by ST renderer ID. I don't really understand this track thing, but ST. See, I think I was using renderer ID yesterday, now that I think about it. Now, actually, I'm almost 100% sure that I did that. So that would be why everything broke. Because it was looking for an ST renderer ID, not a renderer ID. The renderer ID is the actual ID that the ThreeJS generates. The ST renderer ID is something that I generate so that I can keep track, because one teeny tiny criticism I have of ThreeJS is that the way that they attach new items to larger items is inconsistent. Sometimes you need to destroy the old one and get a new one, and sometimes you can just modify the old one. And in the cases where, so I had to come up with my own renderer, my own IDs, so that I could have some stability on those, so that they would stay the same. Because it ended up in my last iteration, the last application that I built out for this stuff, it ended up being very, very complex trying to manage shifting IDs. So now, I came up with my own IDs to deal with that. It wouldn't have been so complex if, like, the way ThreeJS did it was always the same. But it didn't. It wasn't always the same. So the code just got really, really, really confusing. Okay, yeah, so that is good. So now we no longer need our renderer IDs anymore. So now what that gets us, I don't know. I don't know what that gets us, but it does lower the complexity. And really the end goal is to get this thing, to get that code that we were just looking at out of get this line of code out of here and into our new component. So we're good in the neighborhood. That's so crazy, like all the crazy convoluted ideas that you have to explain things, because the actual answer just sort of goes under the radar, and the actual answer is very, very simple. But because the actual answer is not, kind of doesn't fall in your list of possible answers, you end up creating this big convoluted mental thing. It's weird. Um, let's see. So I was thinking that like kind of what I'm doing right now is just like coding for rest and relaxation, just sort of trying to get better at it. And I do think that coding as a skill is going to be more, it's going to be more like arithmetic or algebra or reading. You know, it's just like a skill that you have to have. So if you want to be good at it, you're going to have to do it sort of as part of your leisure activities. And that's, I think, kind of what I'm doing here, you know, sort of moving into that direction. Because to be honest with you, like you need coding skills to move. Like you need to understand like how computers do things and all that in order to get stuff done. And I spend a tremendous, I use like artificial intelligence like crazy now as part of my day to day. And, but the fact that I can code makes it me much better at using AI than a lot of other people. And I think that coding is going to eventually be just a standard. If you want to have a professional job, you need to know how to code. And if you want to be any good at coding, you're going to have to do it in like coding for just for the reasons that we have for coding today aren't going to be legitimate reasons. So like I think it's going to have to be like much like reading, something that you just do kind of for fun, you know, crossword puzzles, stuff like that. I don't know. That's what I think. All right. So now we have our this. So I think, and we have our new component, right? Yep. I love you too. Yeah, we have our app component layout. So all this thing really needs to function is a list of renderers. That's all it needs. So let's see, are we already getting our list of renderers? So I did renderer IDs. Oh, okay. Not just, that's not, and then we need to be able to call animation visualizations and set up DOM visualizations. That's how we ended up in here. But we do know we want the renderers instead of. So let's go ahead and just grab that real quick. ST renders. Get rid of this. And then we want, hopefully we have a blue one. No, we don't have a blue one, but it does know where it is. And then we want to go over here. And we have that, and we actually have graduated to this animation visualizations, and we actually just passed that the renderer. So that's good, but we didn't get our ST DOM visualizations, set up DOM visualizations. Okay, so we need to bring in our animation service. So animation is an ST animation. And we will inject our ST. Oops. Let's see if we can get this. Nope. I don't know why I can't find ST animation service. App component. Oh, I guess it's just called animation service. Oh yeah, that's right, because animations was is sort of its standalone. It's not really part of ST. I don't know. I don't really remember exactly why we did it that way, but I remember it making a lot of sense when we did do it. Oh, the reason is because there is no concept of animations, as far as I know, inside of ThreeJS. So it's its own standalone. It's not an ST. It's neither an ST nor a ThreeJS thing. So now we can do that. Now we just got to figure out how to get ST, what the deal is with setup DOM visualizations. That probably actually, I don't, okay, so DOM visualizations are something that is like, even in our other layout, the DOM visualizations will be done. It's it's a higher level, a broader, a more general level than this custom layout, because basically the job of this custom layout is to place everything. And actually, I think setup DOM visualization does that. That is what setup DOM visualization does, is it places things in a basically it sets, I believe what it does is it actually sets the left and top and bottom positions. So DOM setup DOM visualizations probably is too general of a name for that, if that's what that is. I love you too. See, we have setup visualizations, setup visualization items. Oh, so this create viz, I believe, is something that we need to do, regardless of whether it is what the layout is. So that probably should be inside the UI service. I don't know though. Let's go look at that. Go to definition. Oh, create viz for component. Create visualization. Viz component, input ID. Okay, so this is inside of the visualization service, and I think, let's go to definition. Yeah, so this sets up the left and right position as well. Well, no, there's a calculate positions that calculates the position. All right, so create viz for component. Visualize. I guess a visualization server should be the one that would create the viz for the component. And it takes the viz component that's passed in, which is a actual component that is created inside of, like if we look in components, it is one of these actual components that gets passed in. So we're going to do that over there. So I think this one needs to get moved into, and it doesn't seem like it needs anything, right? It is component set render input ID st render. All right, so let's copy this, and we're going to go into create visualization components and try to move it over there. And so, and we may have to deal with a bunch of like context issues and stuff like that. We'll see. Because see, it's this, and so I think we're going to run into the same issue we ran into yesterday, where the this needs to be the actual service, not the component itself. Okay, so that is fine. Nothing breaks, and that makes sense that nothing would break. But create viz component. Yeah, see how we bind this? So this, we're binding it to the um, to the um, um, to the component of the application component, but we actually want to bind this. We could still use the application component and then like call the service as if it was in the application component, but I think that will be very confusing. And I've actually seen that, and I've actually coded that in jobs before because I didn't really understand. Wasn't able to take the time that I'm taking right now to just really understand what was going on. And you end up with this really confusing code because you're like in this service that is kind of like unaware of anything. It should kind of just stand alone. You're passing a reference to a component that then the component has a reference back to the visualization itself, you know. So I wonder if I have something like that. Maybe I wonder if that's something like that's what makes it to where I can't import the ST animations. Maybe I have like that kind of reference. But so basically we want to say this dot visualization service, and then instead of this we want to bind the visualization service, which is weird, right? Like there's no question about it. Like this is like a unusual kind of thing, but we're basically sending it a reference to itself, so that when it, because JavaScript in this situation won't create a new this. There won't be anything. This will be undefined because of the way we ran for each. And the reason we did that way is so that it would be easier to unit test. So yeah, unit test is driving this. We wouldn't have the issue if, I don't think we would have the issue if we were using an arrow function. But we might actually have it might actually break if we had an arrow function, because an arrow function doesn't destroy the existing this, so we wouldn't actually have the power to create it to that. If that doesn't make sense, I get it. It was one of this binding and these contexts and all that, where it took me years and years and years of just constant thought to understand. And then honestly, like once you understand it, you can't understand why everybody else doesn't understand it. It's one of those weird things, like once you get over the hump, you can't remember the hump anymore. It's just gone. So let's see if this works, though, because I've been doing a lot of talking and we haven't actually proven that what I'm even talking about makes any sense. So that is working. So I believe I can now delete this guy right here. And all of this is just so that we can pull a bunch of this functionality out of the app component and into its own smaller component. And that is sort of one of the dangers, and I see that pattern a lot, where a developer will get everything working within the parent component and they go, okay, now I'm just going to move everything over. But you know, and that ends up being so much harder than it is, because logic tells you it should just be as easy as just lifting and shifting and moving it over, and everything should just work. But it doesn't. The biggest thing that usually gets people is it's interesting how the sun is starting to flare through, is because of like timing issues, like the way the life cycle hooks fire varies as you start to componentize things and pull things into lower and lower components. They have their own life cycles and all that. So that's probably the biggest number one thing. But the other number one thing is you start to create all kinds of context driven code then you have to go back and understand those contexts. So set up visualization items. Again, seems like something that would belong in the visualization function. So let's go ahead and move this guy up there. And when I move this one out, then this, I think, doesn't make sense anymore because set up visualization. Bind this. Yeah, so anyways, yeah, when we get there, we'll think about it. But yeah, this context here is not going to be right once we get over here because we're in there, and I think when we run this, we're going to have to bind it. No, we won't. I don't think we'll have to bind it because, yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It's going to be interesting. Because this gets, as I run in this new, because I'll be like this dot visualization service set of visualization. I guess when we go over there, this will now no longer be the component. It'll be the service. Never really thought about that before. That's a lot. That's a lot to think about. So and then I don't think we need to bind. We don't have to do that, and then we just want to give it a viz component. Viz components. Oh, no. I think it'll automatically give it the... So we're passing it that, and I guess, no, I'm going to be back to binding this. Because it won't know. Okay, so bind. So we're right. We actually went right back. I believe that this, at this point, is this actual component. Yeah, this is kind of a very good exercise. If you're keeping up, if it makes sense, then, you know, that's awesome. I'm having a hard time keeping up because it's just like the context. My brain's ability to switch in and out, context in and out is very, I didn't realize how difficult that was for me. But, all right, so I'm going to save that. It shouldn't break anything because we're not actually calling it. I don't think. And now we want to do this visualization service. So yesterday I was sort of jumping steps, right? So this time I'm coming in. And let's just see if that works. Yep, that works. So now we can just delete this guy. Delete all of this guy. And let's see the time. 8:38. Doing good. Doing good. Now set up visualizations. Okay, that again seems like a thing that should be in the visualization. I guess we should just not assume that that works. Okay, so set up visualization. Yeah, that seems like it's going to be super simple. Just move that over. I thought, for me personally, that was a really good exercise. Like, it really enforced a lot of context sort of, I hate it when I do that. I copied when I came over here, and this is one of the only tools I know of that like will, when you copy nothing, it'll put nothing into the clipboard. It would be nice if like if there was not, if you try to copy nothing, if it, oh my gosh, what the heck. Okay, so we actually, didn't even copy the whole thing. Okay, copy, paste, move this back. Okay, so I need to get the visualization items passed in. All right. Items, which is an array of, I guess I want to just pass in the viz components like that. I can do the to array part. I think it's reasonable to do this over there. So I am skipping steps this time. And this. Okay, so I think that guy's good. So he's just going to get an array of components, and then he's going to run this thing. So I don't know if you're, you know, how much you think about this stuff, but the unit tests are screwed up now. They are jacked. They are messed up. This dot visualization service. What's the problem? Oh, okay, so that needed to be all the way up here. Okay, so that is not where that happens. Happens right here. Service. Okay, so hopefully we can just get rid of this now and it gets handled there. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Hit reload. Okay, so that's good. So now we can get rid of this guy. Now, setup drawing loop definitely happens in the app. The app is the one who's going to set that up. That does not get happen. That does not get happen. That does not happen in the lower things. It should only happen once. It should only happen at the top of the component, the highest component. And I guess this is, yeah, I guess that is the sort of the nature of the component-driven architecture. Okay, so setup DOM visualizations, I think, definitely goes up into there. And I think once this one is done, I think, and then we're calling that, then I believe we can just copy and paste the code over from the markup. And look how small the because this effect will go away too. I don't think we'll need this effect. And the app becomes very small, very easy. It only does really one thing, and that sets up the drawing loop. and then it, oh, and I guess it'll also handle the routing, which I think that makes sense too for the top um, component to handle the routing. And I do think that like sort of like when they had modules, when everything was like module driven and stuff like that, that like they were Angular was trying to move to a component driven architecture, I think, or component architecture, something like that is what it's called. And the module wasn't really, it was more of a module architecture, not a component architecture. And now, you know, with this standalone components and all that, I think it's moving more to sort of the original, or at least the title, the original title. But anyways, let's copy this over, go over to our visualization service. And it's like days like yesterday that make me just truly appreciate when my brain works well. You know, because yesterday I just didn't have the IQ to do this stuff. You know, and it's just so crazy how. Okay, so it needs a visualization items. And then I think it's upset that I didn't say what it is. So what is it? What are the visualization items? What are you? What are you, bro? Okay, so they are a query list of view components. So it's not an array. It's an array-like thing, and it's an array of the components. Now, it's kind of weird that... Did I have to bring in query list? I didn't think we brought in query list. Oh, yes, we did. We import that from Angular core. I thought that was a native browser thing. Sounds like a native browser thing. I think I copied the wrong comma. Okay, so query list is actually an Angular thing. So that's good to know. And it's a list of components. So I can save this. Shouldn't have any problems because we aren't calling it yet. And then we come over here, and instead of calling our this, we want to call the this dot visualization service. And I think it's this dot visualizations. Items. So this is, to me, very fascinating. And I don't know if I should make it, I think I don't know. I don't know if I should to-array it from here, or if I should to-array it over there. I think I should to-array it over there. Just, yeah. I don't know. I don't think it matters, to be honest with you. I think that's why it's so hard to, like, that's why it gets stuck in the brain. So let's see if this works before we destroy. And yeah, yesterday I couldn't even begin to freaking conceptualize these things. And human intelligence is such a fragile thing. And you definitely should appreciate it. If you can understand this stuff, it all makes sense to you. You should truly appreciate it because it's not going to be there forever. So enjoy it while you got it. All right, so now, let's see, we are at 8:49. Probably not a good idea to try to actually move everything over, but theoretically, I can copy all of this now. I can copy this whole effect. Well, okay, so this should be no big deal. I'm going to do that. Custom layout. All right, so this is my current effect, and I want to replace it with this. And then I need to bring in my visualization service. Visualization service. Visual service is equal to inject. And I suppose AI will probably help me extend my career because I'll be able to this visualization items, because like oh, okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. I was going to say, how am I going to get this in the service? But I'm not working in the service. I'm working in the component. Now the view children doesn't exist yet, or hasn't been brought in yet. So let's get that. View children. Query list doesn't exist yet over here. UV element OP QRSTUV. So we'll put it over here. And then viz component does not. And I don't remember how we get that. Let's see. Import this guy. So I'm surprised it doesn't know how to find that for me. Let's see if it does. Oh, yeah, it does. The path is slightly different, so I guess we should sort of put these in a in a special order, and so that all looks good. So we'll save that. It should have no effect whatsoever. And then in theory, let's see, do we have anything in here? We don't have anything in there. In theory, we can go now and take our app HTML and we can just copy this over here, up in here. And then that is upset because app.viz hasn't been imported. I cannot remember exactly how to do that. Let's see. Viz component. And so it'll be nice because this can go away as soon as we're let's see, does this all make sense now? Yeah, so now it's happy. So we can save that. We can save this. Now we're not using this anywhere. So basically we'll need to bring in this guy and we'll need to bring it over into here. Basically instead of that one. And then over here, instead of all this, we'll just have the viz component. And then everything should look the same. I don't know, there might be some weird CSS stuff to deal with. And if it does, then we can create like a second our app table layout, and then that, or yeah, our app tabular layout component, and then we can set up our routing so that when we're in one mode, we'll see it as a list, like a tabular list, and when we're in another mode, we see it that way at like this in custom layout. And then once we have it in a list layout, I can add the delete button, and then that I think then update the update unit tests, end-to-end tests, like all kinds. Both of those, there's gonna be all kinds of unit tests broken, all kinds of end-to-end tests broken. But then basically add a new end-to-end test that adds and deletes, and we probably do want to add the warning so that you can't get past 16 unless you can't get 16. If you get past 16 and you want to add something, you need to delete one of the other ones. And then that will be the next step. So anyway, so tomorrow we will we'll try to use the app custom layout instead of having this in here. And that should be super simple. We're probably going to want to add like a div in here that I don't know how we're going to want to do this. Yeah, so I'm just now I'm thinking like CSS and how things are going to be able to lay out and stuff. But anyways, that is that. I think we made really good progress. Definitely have a lot to appreciate on like where my brain just would not function yesterday, and now it's functioning a lot better today. Definitely have a lot to appreciate that. Having a fully functioning brain is just a hell of a blessing. Anyways, everybody, or heck of a blessing is probably a better way of putting it. Anyways, happy coding, everybody. Bye.